up, people? Rasati out here in Singapore, and it is the Night Owl podcast. Y'all feel like I've been triple teaming you yet? I mean, this is the third time I've been on today, but I got some stuff I need to get off my chest if you don't mind. So, I wanted to start and talk to you today, right now, about the fact that I seem to just be making mistakes. And it feels like that's the only way that I learn because otherwise I don't get a chance to change anything. I don't get a chance to try anything new. I saw a quote this morning that says, if you're not making mistakes, it means you're not making decisions. And that kind of hit me a little hard. It was almost like a slap in the face, like, yo, can you get your act together and make some more decisions so you can make more mistakes and learn and move forward? And it's been very, very prevalent in the last couple of days, actually, because I feel like Gaia and I are kind of working on a new way of doing things because we seem to just keep making mistakes, y'all. Not crazy mistakes, and luckily for us, it's not the same mistake over and over again, but we are making decisions on doing things a little bit differently, and sometimes the miscommunications are actually opportunities for us to change the way we've been doing things. Case in point, like I said before, I have been given the reins of all the parent volunteers. And obviously, they've been doing things the same way forever. And the last set of EXCO members have been in office for about 4 years now. So they're getting ready to leave the school because their kids, they graduate and stuff. So there was room for me to kind of hop in. They voted me in. They were happy to give me the reins. And I felt like, all right, cool, I could do some things here. But the minute I started changing things or doing it my way, because here's the thing, no one trained me, no one handed over the office to me, no one talked to me about what's expected, how things are usually run, and that came on the back end. So I started doing what I do best. I start from the bottom. I take care of everything myself first because I want to know how things work. I want to know how things run or don't run. I want to see where all the loopholes and the problem areas are because I want it to run as smoothly as possible. And if I have somebody actually teach me how things have always been done, chances are they're going to present it to me as if they've always been done this way and there's never been a problem and just do it this way, right? And I don't want that. I want to be able to innovate. I want to be able to streamline. I want to make things a little bit smoother and smarter as far as how we work. So, got in, started doing some work, and then my first meeting, I apparently offended people because I told them, look, I don't know how things work yet. I'm not sure I understand it yet. So until I do, I'm not handing over any jobs to people. I'm not giving people the responsibility of taking care of something that I myself don't understand. Now, I thought it came out plain and simple like that, but apparently it didn't. That's okay too. But I had to learn from them. So from there came the backlash, came the back talking, came the backbiting, came the complaints. And I'm happy because now I know where I stand. Now I know who my players are, who my teammates are, what kind of people they are, and how to manage them. So that's one example, right? Another example is baby girl. So I put her back in student care, hoping that it would be helpful to her to make sure that, we can take care and I can find more time to do work and I don't have to really rely on anybody. So simple fix. I put her in student care. Yesterday, I had to tell the student care facility that she won't be attending because she had a meeting. So from school, school gets out at 1:30. She had a meeting at 2. She was supposed to get out at 4. So I let them know she's not coming to student care. Cool, no problem. I let her know, hey, your meeting's supposed to end at 4. I'll be at the school at 4. Now she got out early. And because she's never gotten out early before, because she's never had a situation where she had to call me from the office unless I was super late, anything like that, she decided she was going to come home. She looked for me everywhere. She couldn't find me, so she just started walking home. Now, I didn't know that. So when I got the phone call at about, 3:45 or something, I figured, okay, she finished early. She called me from the office because we'd never had a chance to really talk about what to do when things go wrong or things where you don't see me, when you need something. We don't talk about those things until the situation pops up. So anyway, she called me and I was like, okay, well, you done? Where are you? She said, oh, I'm home. And I was like, huh? How are you home? And she explained that she'd come upstairs to our house, to our building, but she was at the neighbor's house because she didn't have a phone of her own to call me. And I was like, okay. So I opened the door, let her in, and we talked, and she was very scared. And I tried to understand why she was scared. She said she was panicking the whole way home because she wasn't sure if she was going the right way or not, if she was going to get in trouble or not. She was very wary of people. This is the first time she's done anything like this by herself. Kudos to her, though, because she kept her wits about her. She made sure she went one way home that eliminated the option of having to cross a street. And Yeah, she made it all the way home. I was proud because she made it all the way home, but she was panicking still because she had that nervous anxiety feeling inside of her and she didn't know how to manage that. But the good news is she tried something. She made a decision, she came back home. And she made it home safe, no problems. Nobody stalked her, nobody, made her feel weird or anything. There was no real threat, but she felt nervous anyway. And we got a chance to talk about it because she did something out of the ordinary. And I was not mad. I was a little worried. Like when she said she was home, I was like, oh my God, like, have I just like not noticed what time it's like? I panicked. I was like, did I miss it? Did I do something wrong? And it wasn't. It was just a different circumstance. She chose to do something by herself. She made it home all the way, no problem. And I got the chance to talk to her about, okay, going forward, if this happens again, do you think you'd be comfortable coming home on your own? Do you think this is something you want to try going forward? Is this something you want me to talk to you more about? And as the discussion came on, she decided she doesn't want to do this again because it was too nerve-wracking, but she's glad that she was able to find her way home, no problem. And going forward, if she finds herself at school where she needs to come home early, like a meeting ended early or whatever, I told her the best course of action is to call from the school. Call me from the school and let me know, hey, I'm out early, can you come pick me up, right? And I told her not to go spend money and use the payphones at the school, but to go to the office to let somebody know. That's a free call, and someone's always there so that somebody is around to be able to calm her down as well. So easy peasy, we fixed it, but we would never have had that conversation if she hadn't tried it by herself. There was a situation a couple weeks ago where I had somebody come home and babysit her for a little while. Now, there wasn't any food in the house, or so she thought. She just didn't know where everything was. So when I came home, she was like, I wanted to make rice, but I couldn't make rice. I didn't know where the rice was. And my babysitter was going to help me, but she didn't know where the rice was either. And rather than call and find out, they figured they'd do whatever they could with what they had available, which was fine. They had bread, they had butter, they had kaya, and they had peanut butter, and like they had their own smorgasbord of just sandwiches, which is fine. But that led me to the discussion of talking to her about, okay, well, this is where the rice is, and this is where these things are, and do you know how to make rice, and do you know how to warm up things? Can you reach the microwave with no problem? So these are the things we're sorting out now. Yeah, she's about to be 9 years old, but I've never had to have these conversations before. There's always been someone around. So sometimes you stay stuck because you don't venture out from your comfort zone. Sometimes mistakes can be the greatest thing that ever happened. In my business, I realized that I put out a lot of content. I'm available all the time. I speak to a lot of people. But my website, even though I do have one, was not clear about where I do things, how I do things, what the price of things is, which I didn't think anything of. I didn't think it was a big deal. But when push come to shove and I stopped getting clients the way that I used to, it used to be like a one-to-one, like I speak to them a couple times on social media maybe, and then they decide to hire me, right? But when they go to my website, they're a little confused. And there is no tier where there's like a bottom tier product or a service, and then it goes up in time commitment. My prices are based on how much time I have to commit to taking care of you or to helping you through whatever situation you're in. So I found that I needed to redo my website. And it wasn't until I met with somebody who wanted to partner up with me when they asked me about, they did due diligence. They went back and they checked out all my podcasts, all my, my posts, my blogs, my website itself. And they were able to tell me, hey, I saw this, this, and this. I really loved it. I really resonate with who you are. Your website, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. And it wasn't until they asked me the questions about my website that I realized, hey, you know what? That's something I can cover in the website, the details, like the writing itself, so that no one has to ask me again. Apparently it wasn't clear enough. They had to clarify. So that's something that directed me in the way of where else can I grow? Where else can I fix? Where else can I adjust? Same thing when I do meal prep. It's not until I deliver the food to you and you get a chance to start eating it or warming it up or whatever that you can tell me, hey, the chicken was a little dry. It wasn't bad. It tasted good, but it was a little dry. Can we do something about that in the future? Hey, I have to reduce my intake of my caloric intake of carbohydrates, and I need to increase the amount of protein that I eat. Can you help me with this? Or maybe they've decided, we were ordering 1 week of food at a time and I seem to be wasting a lot. So can we reduce the amount of days that you cook for me and adjust the price accordingly? Perfect. So it's not until these hiccups happen that we have a chance to adjust ourselves and become better. I remember when I was working at the Grand Hyatt. Do you know how I learned how to be a great trainer and how to basically manage any situation that popped up? I made mistakes. And I mean, like, I screwed up my drawer count. I, overbooked rooms. I didn't assign people to jobs properly. I screwed up. I mean, like, I had warnings, screwed up that much. But it wasn't until I did those things that I found out how to work around them, how to fix those things. So then when they sent me people to train them on the opera system or on the emails, how to respond to emails, how to write down the notes from all of the, the VIPs that were coming through, it wasn't until I was given the chance to correct my mistakes and learn how to work the system. And then when they gave me these people that were really struggling to learn the system, I was able to teach them the ins and outs without too much trouble and make it relatable to them because I'd already made all the mistakes. I'd already made all the mistakes and they were quite recent, and I remember what's going to happen next. So for instance, if you overbook a room or whatever, I know what prompt is going to pop up. And if you don't pay attention to that prompt, you're going to overbook. If you don't pay attention to the notes inside of the reservation itself or the client's account itself, you're going to miss crucial steps that make sure that they have a great and memorable stay. Simple things like that. But it wasn't until I screwed up a couple times that I realized, okay, well, these are things I need to pay attention to because the person before me did not know that those were important for me in the way that I learn. So I'm telling you, if you're not making mistakes, you're not making decisions. For a long time, when I first started my business, I wasn't making mistakes because I was afraid to make mistakes. I didn't want to put it out there like I was screwing up, because who wants a coach that's screwing up? But the point being that if I don't screw up, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what can go wrong. I don't know how to prepare better, prevent better. I don't know how to advise my clients better. So I would rather venture something now rather than pretend like I'm not making any mistakes and I got my life together and suffer because I'm not doing what I should be doing. I'm not focusing my efforts in the right places with the right energy. I love social media. I love interacting on social media, but that's not where I get all my clients. A lot of times my clients come from face-to-face interactions, which means I need to interact with accounts or groups on social media to find out when their events are so I can attend and rub shoulders with some people. Because if I don't rub shoulders with people, I don't know what people need. A lot of times you can be in a group, right? And you can write about what you feel and what you understand and what you need help with in a group. But when it comes to really, really personal things like why you feel guilty about anything, why you feel uncomfortable about anything, why you want something but don't know how to ask for it, any of those things, no one wants to admit that in front of a group of people. What they'd rather do is direct message you. At which point, then you get to address the situation in the group itself. That's not so bad because you're not naming names, you're not pointing out anybody, and no one can tie it back to the question you asked before. Oh, well, this has to do with that person because she wrote that. But I didn't know that until I tried the group thing, and it didn't work. And I didn't know that until I tried responding to people who were asking buying questions on social media, only to find that they weren't all that interested because once the money was, thrown out there, they were like, oh, yeah, I don't know about that. So instead, what I need to do is direct everyone to my website. I want to grow my following. Right now, I know that I need to post literally every day, if not a couple times a day. But I'm not doing that because I got comfortable. That's another mistake I need to correct now. Because where I did get 50 to 100 likes a day because I was being consistent and people knew where to find me, I'm losing because I'm not consistent anymore. And if I hadn't made that mistake, I wouldn't know it's a problem to fix. And now it's all about trying to fix it and get the interaction back and show people that I am dependable, I am around. It's different. It's hard. It's nerve-wracking. Who wants to make mistakes? No one, because we're in a culture that shows us that mistakes are wrong. They're not wrong. Mistakes means you're trying something. Mistakes means you're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there. Mistakes means I get to grow my confidence. Because venturing out like that and making the mistake means I can learn from my mistakes. It means I can expand my understanding of the world around me, my viewpoint of the world around me. Mistakes are essential. They're crucial. especially if you want to grow anything. Think about it. When I was growing up, I wanted to make clothes. And the first time I ever got a chance to make clothes is because I didn't have a place where I could go find a kurta top for my daughter for an Indian event. Where I was living, there's no Indian shops out there. I can't go buy that stuff. So I had to figure out how to make one. So what I did was I went to find a pattern for an A-line dress. I figured that's the easiest thing, right? And guess what? That first kurta that I made, beautiful, beautiful material, but there wasn't a single stitch in it because, first of all, I did it at the last minute and I used stitch witchery. So it was ironed together and it held together really well and it looked great, but there wasn't a single stitch in it, which means I can't wash that because it will fall apart. So I still have it. To this day, I still have it. And it reminds me that I tried something and it was a hot mess, but it looked good on the outside. It just wasn't sustainable. So the next time I make it, I can use the same pattern. I just got to learn to use my sewing machine or do it by hand. The first time I sewed a badge onto my daughter's dress, like her name badge onto the dress, because it's a uniform here in Singapore, it was a horrible job. You could see every one of the stitches. They were terrible. It looked like a spider web extending out from the name badge. It wasn't so bad that they told me to redo it or anything, but I know it could have been better. I was not happy. But the point is I did it. I got it done. And now that I've gotten it done, the next time I do it, I know exactly how to hide those stitches and to make sure it's well secured and to make sure that it's straight. I had one of those too. They were not straight. But it wasn't until I messed up that I realized, okay, these are the steps I need to make. This is why people say create something 100 times in a row and you'll know exactly the process you need to follow to be able to complete it to perfection. This is why people say championships are won in practice, not in the game. Because if you don't practice your form and how to make sure you don't miss on a free throw or a rebound or any of those things, you got to do it a couple thousand times. This is why Mastin Kipp talks about he's gotten in over 10,000 clinical hours of counseling. And that's why he's an expert, because he's done this a couple thousand times. It's important. So now he knows that the advice he gives can't miss because he's given it a couple thousand times and he's gotten the feedback and it works. And he's, I'm sure, no doubt, changed his verbiage along the way because some words really trigger people and some words don't. But if I don't make the mistakes, I don't know what to change. And if I don't make the mistakes, I don't know how to identify with the people around me to really serve my community. And if I really am the healer that I think I am, that's the route I got to take. I got to make sure that I make mistakes so that I could really be available to you, approachable to you, relatable to you. And that's my 2 cents today. So I hope this helps. I hope it helps you understand that it's not so intimidating to make a mistake. Go out and make as many as you can. Please don't make the same one over and over again, but please make a lot of mistakes. Go make some decisions. Go put yourself out there and see what happens. Because I guarantee you'll learn something from it every time. All right, you guys, I'll catch you later. Bye.